Okay, I'll keep it brief as I can possibly can. Um, uh, uh, just looking around for some little objects. Oh yeah, yeah, it's just the remote control for the air conditioner. It's cooler now. Weather. I think it's 17 Celsius. I think it's going to be about 17 Celsius today. Or was it 18? I don't know. It's cooler. It's less than. Certainly less than 24 Celsius. So stereo perception or frequency arrivals, our ears, reflections, and so on and so forth, versus real world sounds of voice conversations versus some of these most typically lousy Dolby Atmos or Dolby, even any Dolby film mixing. Doesn't matter whether it's DTS, whether it doesn't really matter if it's because it's usually just an encode to decode package sound delivery. But typical like home cinema dubbing stage, what does it matter? Typically, where the speakers are located behind the screen to where the mix console would be. And you got all this fabricated sound up on the behind on the speakers behind the screen, and you got this scene with all these people, crowds, voices, and everything. Does it does do mixers take into account with psychoacoustics and everything? Because a lot of what I hear on these movie mixes are absolutely atrociously appalling. Given some films that have directional dialogue, panning and moving, so it sounds kind of realistic. Um, and because these films, and whether they're in the home, the cinema, or dubbing stage, well, cinema, dubbing stage, home, it really doesn't really matter what size the room is, and then you get all these mixers with all their bullshit and um, does anyone really care to really listen and then think, what is wrong with the sound mix on this movie? You know, why? When sometimes you see all these people say, like, say if I take a movie for an example to nitpick it, that won a best sound and sound editing award, The Right Stuff, and you got all these seven astronauts all lined up, and you got the commenter, you got the moderator all sitting down on one side, asking, questions from press and all that. But you got all this wide shot in a widescreen movie, yeah, and all the voice sounds are just coming from center channel. They're not coming in individually. Like if you were there, you would hear the voice slightly shifted to one side and then maybe in the middle and then maybe over that one. Maybe you would hear this movement. It's there. You can't ignore it. Unless, of course, I think even if you put an earplug in one ear, okay, your left ear is still very clever with your mind. Is still going to pick out direction. It might not be as quick and sharp because of the sound on one side and then the reflection, depending on if it's in a very echoey room and you'd hear these reflections, but you'd hear other sounds. You'd be very surprised with training the ear to the mind. And yes, we can hear very tiny, subtle movements, but they are very subtle. And really, realistically, you need a loudspeaker. But like I keep saying, how long is a piece of string? String is very thin, you know, it's not as thin as thread for sewing, which would be a lot thinner. And you know, if you was having sound coming from very, very narrow positions, well, they don't make loudspeakers that size, you know. You know, that's why sound and all this mixing and all this, you know, it, it is what it is. I hate that word, but is what it is. But you know, you can have smaller speakers, say like for a cinema screen, because you look how large that screen is. When you get close to it, when you walk up very, very close to it, you start to hear where the sound is coming from. And then you look at what is on the screen with all these crowds and voices and conversation and what. And you know what? The funny thing is, I'm that close to the screen, be whether even if I'm in my home, okay, I'm that close. And yet, in reality, that I go back, say, a couple of weeks when I was at Shez Fred's, waiting for you know, everyone's waiting, you know, in the queue. And I could tell there was a group of Italianos in the fish and chips. I don't know why they're there because usually don't they usually go for pizza and pasta? Maybe they wanted a change, you know. But there's this female in the middle of me and two males to the left and right of me, and I'm sat down. I did the video. I think I've done a video of it, but I'm not too sure of the quality on the you know, the stereo recording on the phone because you got to put it that way and then you activate the stereo. Oh, that's my other phone. It's a bit fucked up, really. Um, it's the same one as this one. And guess what? You know, the screens on these, they're very they're very fragile, that plastic. You only have to drop these on concrete and it's fucked up. So, yeah, try to handle them carefully. And yeah, I didn't drop it in any case. They're just flawed screens. Um, yeah, I could hear the male voice, one male voice over to my left side and one over to my right. And the distance, the width distance was probably no more than 4 foot, no more than 4 feet width. Yeah, I could hear it perfectly. And this female, like it was like listening to like a typical common left, center, right sort of speaker thing. Only it sounded a lot better than your typical mixing on with these rubbish, some of these rubbish re-recorded mixers. They should challenge the director, not what the director thinks. But obviously, you know, that person's not getting out of the home that much and listening to the real world because when they get too famous, these people, they end up cocooning themselves in their home. They become recluses. They're too scared to go out. Ah, kidding. But no, that's how sound works. You can make very subtle sounds with your mouth by making certain sounds and go like that. And I can hear it going left to right, left to right, left to right. I don't hear it mono. And that is only what, less than 9 inches. You'd be surprised how you know, and yet we listen to this rubbish today. Oh my goodness! But if I were to listen to these three people again, say if it was outdoors and I was near to them, and then I walk across the road, the stereo sound that I hear with the two male voices and female being in the center because the sound is going to both ears at the same time, and the other voices they're up there talking this way, whilst the female is talking inwards at me and the time arrival, and then if I go across the road, that those voices like that would gradually go to like that, and it would sound like mono. That's how sound works. Usually, typically, if you're in a cinema, you got to be in a certain distance between some of the surround speakers and the screen channel and the front of the screen. You go too far back, that wild, wide stereo image just goes narrow. You still get a sense of stereo as such, but it just goes narrow. And your perception of like looking this way, looking that way with the screen channel would just be completely diminished and reduced. You still hear the stereo surrounds because they're wide apart and you're in the middle of the auditorium and they're just simply widespread apart, and you would still get, this stereo effect would be, but you won't get it. You won't get the wild stereo action coming from the screen. That's just simply how physics work. You got to be about a certain distance, and then you get this like wow. And then you think, I kind of hear it in the home. I hear it myself. Uh, I saw Star Wars last year. Same, it's the same mix as the home version. Um, Only they added a little bit more Greedo. Pointless, but yeah. But just hearing some of the sound effects, and I knew where they were going to come from. I knew what the music was going to sound like right at the beginning in the center channel with the timpani kind of going, or the timpani and drum going dum ba ba bum dum bum da ba ba bum bum bum, with the other music, with the string music a little bit brighter on the HF horns, because if you turn off the HF horn, you get all the bass on the left or right, and depending on what the crossover is, where it's crossed over at typically 500 hertz at 24 dB down, you'd still just hear a little bit of the middle range, the upper high, but not all of it because it'd be down there in the crossover sort of thing. But you'd hear more detail then in the center channel with the way it's mixed. Um, yeah, so I was expecting all that. Only it was a little bit more, yeah, but I didn't really like the whole film as a whole because it sucked, because it was the 97 version with more or less like the 2000 version, I think, because the 97 version of Star Wars, when you listen to it on AC3 Laserdisc, because that's where it only exists, you won't hear that mix on the DVD version. The mix on the 97 is a little bit incomplete with the stereo surrounds, and it sounds absolutely atrocious. Um, Apart from, I think, most of the LCR mix, and I don't even sure. I'd have to double check with the LFE to see if it's still the same, or if it's just been maybe frequency extended a little bit or whatever. But hearing just across a 40, about roughly about a 45 feet width, because I was only in the second row. I could have gone into the first row, but that's not a big deal. That's only about what, 30 inches in front of me. It's not a big deal. 30 inches. I'm only going to be what, um, missing maybe a tiny fraction dB in level difference. And yeah, I wanted to go in the first front row. Um, don't know why I chose the second row, because hardly anyone was sitting in the front row. I think I only noticed a couple of people in the front row, and mostly everyone else was more or less one, two, three, four, five, six. Probably about 6 rows back, there was more people, more or less middle of the auditorium. Um, Very few that I don't even think were right at the very back of the auditorium. Yeah, there wasn't many people in that auditorium that night. Probably about 50 or about 50 so people in maybe something like a 200 plus seat auditorium. So yeah, really, that's how it is. You can hear stereo on voices. When they're if you're around a group on a table and you got that's if you're a listener. Most people just hear and don't they hear sound, but they don't care for the detail. Um, they see, yeah, um, but they probably don't really scrutinize the whole imagery. Um, hmm, I think mixers need to get a little bit well, not mixers. Sometimes it's not their fault, because they got to mix with the rubbish that they're being provided with. And some of them must be having their eyes rolling, thinking, why are we mixing with this rubbish? You know? And as far as the screen speakers, they need to be updated. They're outdated, they're behind the times. If all this bullshit immersiveness is to be what it is, then the screen speakers need to be thoroughly updated. And that means the atmos can only do what it can. It can probably be modified or it needs to be scrapped. And they have to have a Mark II version that's going to have literally everything, regardless. Otherwise, what's the point calling it an immersive 3D sound format? It's just lying and bullshitting to the mixers and basically whoever made it, Dolby Labs. They're just kidding. They are just kidding themselves. They just want something that's got a little bit, and everyone thinks, oh wow, more channels, this and that. But when you look at where the layout of the speakers are, really, see. Like I say, I could just put an object on the wall and move it around like that. Can a loudspeaker do that in an Atmos? No. The answer is no, it cannot. It's impossible. Impossible. It needs to be all redone so that it can sound a little bit, but then you think of the expense, how much that would cost. It's not really money, really, when you think of it, but then if I could take an object like that, oh, what's going on? My cat Melanie. Yeah, she's knocking things over. She's a bad kitty. She's a bad kitty. Yeah, she's knocking everything. She knocks one thing over and it falls on something else. She's a vandal. She's vandalizing. You're a naughty girl. Come on. You stop this, Melanie. And don't you dare walk over the laptop and then put all your paws all over it and then fuck the laptop up. That's what Bear did a few years ago. I'm at the hospital. And I've got the laptop set up. So it's on it's on a plugged in and everything. So I can put it and watch my cats while I'm at hospital on my phone. That was a pretty good idea. That was a pretty good idea. That was. And then what happens in some part of the video stream? Video goes out. I thought, what the fuck? What's going on? And of course, when I came back home the next day, because the hospital let me come back home, to feed my cats and do some cat littering. And what I discovered was, I think Bear walked over the laptop because it could only be Bear. It couldn't have been Magic. walked all over the keyboard, and yeah, fucking locked out. Yeah, took me about a day or so to figure out what he did wrong. Oh, she's doing it again. She's a bad cat. She's playing out. Oh, I'm gonna get her off that. She's a bad cat. Come on, come on, stop that. Oh, when you've got a cat, you've got to really hide all the cables and wires, because your cat is going to go after that. They've never encountered a snake, but cats think it's a snake, even though they've never been out in the garden. If they're a house cat, they've never seen a snake, but it's got to be something to do with like exporting memories from one cat that's been outside, and it's exporting memories and such. Yeah. 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 And when some object sort of moves a little bit, a cat is going to be very curiously focused onto that, because they're predators, they're hunters. Cat doesn't want to be fed, it wants to hunt. You can't take away billions of years of evolution. Yeah. Where is she? Oh yeah, she's back there, out there. Yeah, so stereo. That's how it works. I was going to do this for a short video for that bloody audio science review thing. Because most people they haven't got it. They just haven't got the idea, like you know, you know how we hear sound. It's like we hear tinnitus, and we hear it individually moving left. Like some signal noise generator that's got little earphones in our ears, and we think, where the heck's this coming from? We've never encountered it before. You go to the doctor, you say this and that, and then the doctor says, well, sounds like tinnitus. What the heck is that? And then you just think, I want a cure. Unfortunately, there is no cure for it as yet. I mean, there's a cure for toothaches. We get toothaches, and there's a numbing thing or such to cure it a little bit. But really, you got to have the tooth extracted, because the tooth is finished; it's knackered. That doesn't mean our hearing is, or maybe it is, but it's just yeah. You got to deal with it. I got to deal with it. I've had to deal with it since 1979, no fucking thanks to Universal Pictures and their fucking censor round on Battlestar fucking Galactica. Really, is that fucking shit necessary? 120 dB? And then you got this idiot on YouTube with his bloody home theatre in his basement at 150 dB, and people have got to sign this stupid waiver. What a load of BS. You got to be an idiot to go in a room that's going to play 150 dB, because you don't know what the threshold of your hearing will be. And then if it goes up to over a certain point, bam, you're hit with tinnitus. And it will never go away. It will come as it pleases and haunt you day in and day out. And most people can't deal with it. They just end up committing suicide just for hearing bloody noise like that going on in their ears, or ears to their mind. She's at it again. She is a bad cat. Melanie, leave that alone. Come on, get off there. Oh, she's going to fuck this up. Oh, there's no way I can hide that. There's no way I can hide it. She knows it's there, and she's just going to keep coming back. I've just got this bossy here. I need to put something around that, but I can't be fucking arsed. I can't be fucking arsed. She'll just keep coming back until she starts chewing on it, and then Yeah, and then I've got to cut the wires, get the wire stripper, and put some blue connectors on it or something. Fuck's sakes. Oh, yeah, I've only had her since May. And now she's trying to wreck my home. She is desperately wanting to go outdoors as an outdoor cat, but some people don't want their cat running around outside because the environment out there. Um, Depending on whether your cat might be very clever or whatever, and usually some would more or less, like there's a cat out here, it just stays on the ground. Sometimes it goes over the road, but it just generally stays on the grounds. Uh, hmm. Yeah, you'd be able to hear stereo even with a bush um, moving around. You just hear it as a whole, like moving. But when you usually hear it in these crappy film mixes, it's mostly largely in a center stage with a very tiny little bit of poor mixing detail on the left and right on the speakers, and it doesn't sound like a bloody bush to me. It just sounds like some poor sound mixing. She's there again. Oh god! Come on, Melanie. Leave those cables alone, girl. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Come on, go up there. Bad kitty. Oh, you want some feeding? Oh. Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, that's my take on it. I said I was going to keep it short, but yeah, why not just make it long? Because it is a long subject, mind you. It's not a short subject. Um, there's also all this other bullshit on Audio Science Review at the moment. There's this guy from AVS Forum, calls himself Film Mixer, Mark Fishman. Um, and he's hanging around on ASR under Sound Mixer, different username. It took me a short while to suss out who it was because of the attitude of him. Everyone's got an attitude. Everybody has issues. Get it? Okay. Even politicians, they got issues. So that even people like authorities and all that, they all got issues. Everybody has got issues. Even guess what? Even my cats have issues. So I'll just leave it there. All right. Yeah, I just sussed this guy out. I thought, crikey, it's that guy from ABS. He kind of attacked me a few years ago when I was on that forum. Um, yeah, no one had a clue, you know. And some people sussed out, oh yeah, it's a guy in Hollywood, and he's a sound mixer in Hollywood. Blah blah blah. So what? There was this topic on on the forum where everyone talks about stereo sub bass and all that, and it does exist. Um, but maybe this guy's not been very successful at mixing it. Um, because I hear it when I go on the bus. I hear it on the bus. I hear all the. I don't hear bass going like this, like in a fabricated mix on a fabricated system where it's just doing that. I'm hearing it like this, feeling it and hearing it, and I'm thinking, how the heck can I get something like that to work in my room? Because what I'm listening to, it's just, to me now, it's just plain annoyingly boring. Um, but yes, there is stereo bass, or well, might be something else. But it does exist. I mean, there's some things you can mix and some things you can't. Unless, of course, it's like that. Well, they probably got something like that now. I wouldn't be surprised. Like that movie Brainstorm, where they record the impulses and thoughts and everything, and then you put that on someone else's head, and they're feeling the exact same sensations and everything, taste, smell, you name it. Something like that kind of creeps me out, especially that heart attack scene in the movie, because I know what that feels like, and I don't particularly like the feel of something like that. Oh, that's creepy. Um, if they got something like that in the world now, I don't think the consumer market's going to be having it. It'd probably be like what it is. It'd be used for military or such applications and such. Um, and it's also like the other movie, which is more or less the same cliche. Um, the movie Strange Days, where it's the same sort of cliche, wearing something on your head, records, take it off, you sell these things, black market, and then you just put it on your head and you get the same sensation. Same cliche, same story. Because there's people in there that are trying to hunt you down and shooting at you. And it's more or less like the end of the movie in Brainstorm. No guns, really. Guns are kind of pulled out, but not discharged. But, eventually you get the government coming after the other guy. Yeah. Um, I think there's been a few other movies that are similar. Well, you could say like The Matrix. It's similar to Brainstorm, or plug you in. This is going to feel a little weird. What do you want, little gal? What do you want? You after the peaches? Oh, I think you like peaches, Mel. You're a bit more carnival. Though you never know. Yeah. hear you purring. And in real world sound, I hear her purring at this elevation angle because she's a little bit higher up and up there. And so I hear these angles, hear all these degree angles. You're not going to hear that in a crappy Atmos mix, I can guarantee you. You'd just be in for a big disappointment. Well, so are they on the dub stage. So are Dolby Labs. Otherwise, think about it. It's just an ego showing off how many bloody speakers they got, blah, blah, blah. And yet you go to these outdoor PA concerts for decades, yeah? How many speakers are they running? Speakers are speakers. Yeah. Dolby Labs with their, apart from, I think you go to those other, what do you call it, Dolby theatres or such. You can't see the surround speaker. They're hidden. Well, I think in some of the pictures I've seen, they appear to be hidden. But you go to some of these other ones, a little bit overrated, like Odeon Lux, Leicester Square. They're just the things are hanging, dangling from the ceiling. That's very unattractive, And plus, it's got a bad echo in that auditorium. So you want to go there and listen to something to a crappy film mix, Atmos. It's got to be something really Dino Supreme to show off, not just some typical crap that's got no difference in the screen channel mixing. It's got no directional dialogue or any of that. It doesn't deserve to be in that auditoria. It should go into another screen. Because it's just a waste of time. Come on, Mel. Mel, what's she doing? I don't know why they don't show Gravity every now and then. But I can't stand cinemas that have echo. Especially when they got crap playback sound. I mean, Empire Leicester Square wasn't perfect. It had echo, but it had a THX sound system. That was the dog's bollocks. And it was a little bit cheaper on the price, and they had a comfortable seating. You go into the Odeon Leicester Square, it was crap. Bad experience. 2 thumbs down. The seats don't recline. You've got neck ache afterwards. The sound reproduction playback is terrible. It sounds just like a typical rubbish, tiny, small cinema, Odeon cinema somewhere. It was terrible. Yeah, oddly, they're using the same JBL speakers. Same JBL Uri 6290 amplifiers. Even the same Dolby CP200. But it was just different. It was just, yeah. And it was just a little bit overpriced. And yet, they bragged they got more seats than Empire Leicester Square, but they had lousy sound. Even when you're eating and it's moving side to side, you hear an in-head sound, cavity sound, kind of like stereo. but it's muffled. Yeah, you'd be surprised how clever your mind is in monitoring the sound. And yeah, but it can only go to a certain degree, you know. I can't really notice it too much. The resonant frequency, what's it, 8 hertz? I can feel a pressure, but I can't hear it. And when people are chasing this sub bass infrasonic, it's not going to be the same as what we feel. It's going to have an airborne sort of thing, and it's something there. It's going to be, I think, seems a little artificial, you know. Do I notice anything like that in the real world? Maybe I'll take the Spectrum Lab around with me again, monitor the real world, and see what infrasonic frequencies get picked up. It's very clever. It goes right down to 0 hertz. But most average, we will just hear this bass frequency, and then you'd be able to see it, and then you think, well, that's generally what we're mostly hearing and feeling. As for the infrasonic, I would say it's a very low percentage. You can manipulate by cutting off the other bass frequencies, so you just, you know, you got to have it playing back so that it seems like you can literally feel it on the go. Not, you know, so you got to have bass shakers, and especially, and you've got to have a lot of bass transducer shakers, a lot of them. It's all going to play the same signal. It's not going to do it like that. Sorry, but you know, you got all this DDSX Pro bullshit. Oh, they got LFE1, LFE2. I'm sure it sounds crap. It might be okay, but I've not actually heard it yet. They say it's on some of these movie discs that you buy, but I've not seen any indication. And frankly, my dear, I couldn't care less. It's not enough. It's not enough. And yet you've got people that are crazy that want to put literally 20 sub-bass speakers into a tiny room. You're just going to be hearing this same signal all the time. Played at an unrealistic SPL level that you wouldn't even hear in the real world on a daily basis. Not even if you was on top of an aircraft carrier and you got planes taking off. Oh, maybe if you stand behind the afterburners when it's on the catapult, and but you'd be, or maybe stand behind the blast barrier on an airport with a 747 in front of you. You'd be absolutely bloody stupid, because the thrust would just knock you over. You'd feel a warm air, I would imagine, coming from the engines, and then it would just knock you over because it's just too damn powerful. Needs to be, so it can get so the damn thing can get off the ground. What they call it? Something airlift something. I think it's a 3-letter word or something. Wow. You know that movie where he says, I can eat a peach for hours. What was it? Face Off? I can eat a peach. Wow. Does he mean these ones? Peach in juice. So this video is brought to you by Nature's Finest Peach in a Juice. What's that say? No added sugar. I'm a bit skeptical about that. All fruits and such have got natural sugars in them. But yeah, nothing additional. Yeah, just a few preservatives. Yeah, that's a good. I could save that. This cup. Look, why throw it away? I've got a drinking cup. What do I have to do? Just like any other glass cup. All I do is wash it, sterilize, the washing liquid, and bam, I've got an extra cup in the house. Oh, think about it. Look at her. Oh, she's like a black ninja behind me. Stealth kitty. I don't think I'm going to bother on with bloody ASR. Everyone is each to their own opinion. Well, I think some must be terrible listeners on ASR. Shocking. Because you watch all these movie fucking things and you think, I'm not experiencing that and this. I wonder why. Uh-oh. Oh, she's settling down. I'll give her a little pen. There you go. Here you go, girl. There you go. You've had some biscuit. Yeah, I'm just dazing at the moment. I'm just dazed. And mellowed. I'm still thinking about the thing, but I don't have to verbally say anything at present. I think sound is a lot better than the image that you look at on these crappy UHD discs. Why am I roasting it? Because I'm fed up with it. Anyway, it's just an image that's front and focal, and that's all it is. And yet the sound, even though it's lousy coming from the speaker systems in your room, my room, a dubbing stage, okay? So all your home theatres out there, I'm just going to say it, are a load of rubbish, including, again, I would say and repeat, the dubbing stages. All a load of rubbish. It's not even a full entertainment. If you want to listen, if you want to be listening to an entertainment, listen to reality. Grow a brain and train your ears, and then you listen, and then you go home and listen to these movies that you got. Because I could, if I think very hard, like what movies I've got thousands, literally thousands. I think it's like 3,000 movies or something. Maybe was it 4,000? I forget which. It's a lot. No, actually, it isn't a lot. It isn't. It's not even. It's not even 1 million. In fact, it's not even a few billion. That's how much. That's how much there is out there. It's all out there. It's a lot of it. I hear a scratching and the muffled frequency, and then kind of like at that angle. And yeah, I heard a sound. I knew it was behind me. And there's all these bullshitting mixers, like this film mixer, sound mixer on ASR. Oh, we don't hear very well. You can't hold the ear. It doesn't hear very well with sound behind it. What is he talking about? He may have not been very successful at mixing movies that have sound behind, and he's just feeling a little bit maybe pissed off and disgruntled. Otherwise, yes, the sound in frequency, and is a, because you could do it with the dummy head or even a single microphone. You know, but a single microphone, no, you're better off using a dummy head because the way the microphones are artificially inside the dummy head with the ear canal and such, and the way the ear is shaped. So this bit here is just basically focusing forward or to the side. If you get sound coming right direct right there, and then, you hear it a little brighter. So like you play pink noise in a speaker, and then you gradually move it, and you can hear it going a bit louder when it's there, and then when it goes slightly to one angle, the sound goes from like that, and then it just drops down a little bit. Use the dummy head, and you can clearly see, even though the dummy head's got a better frequency response on the microphone, you can shape it so it maybe more or less close to what your hearing might be on the frequency range. But that would take hours, if not a few days, to get the data. And you think that's roughly what I'm hearing, and I'm thinking, if I boost these frequencies here on the speakers, blah blah blah, I might perceive it a little bit better. Um, hmm. So hearing it rolls off. Our brain will be able to register 20,000, if not probably maybe a little bit more than 20,000. But all right, it's like having several types of microphone, and like vocal microphones have got a different frequency response, and compare that to another microphone, then you see the results in the frequency. You see it dipping there, and like that for vocal, and maybe it's a little bit like that for a calibration microphone. When you look at it sort of that way, I think that's kind of like having a high pass filter and then just adjusting it. I put it through my mixer and I can give a high frequency boost. But I'll be kidding myself if I'm going to do any calibration, because I'm going to be exaggerating the frequency. I'm going to be turning the HF frequencies down too much, and then I'm not going to hear them. So you got to get it like adjusted. That's why you got an equalizer for the microphone, so you adjust it. Every microphone is going to have a slightly different frequency response, similar but different. Again, it's just like a loudspeaker; they're different. They're all different. They look the same, but they don't sound the same. When you put pink noise and you're testing it up close, they, you know, you test the amplifier, nice and flat, or it might have a roll off, but then you can easily put HF filter there, bring it up a little bit, or bring it up a little bit higher, and then take down the other frequencies down a little bit, and then you might be able to solve the problem with like, oh wow, I'm hearing a bit of more detail up in the high frequency, and it's got fuck all to do with going out buying brand new bloody speakers and all this bullshit on like you see on ASR. Oh my goodness, no one on that site I don't think has even grown a brain. They're just bullshitters on there trying to sell you shit sometimes, because sometimes they're these integrators or insiders or vendor people, whatever the bloody heck, and they're just trying to sell you unnecessary shit at a stupid extreme price that you don't really necessarily need to buy. You just need the tools, that's all. You can make a Bose speaker probably sound a little bit better if you had the tools. And as for all these bloody microphones are costing stupid, absurd prices, we all know. We see these prices and we see the spec, and you think there's not much fucking difference with that microphone versus this one with the stupid extreme price tag on top of it. It's just plain greedy. I haven't done a test really yet to see. I mean, I've done the kind of there and there sort of thing in one video because I'd have to do comparisons between um, stereo microphone placement or maybe the binaural. Yeah, the binaural dummy head. First, I've got to fix it because my cat, Melanie, she fucking wrecks my dummy head. She ripped the fucking ear off. Yeah, kind of like Reservoir Dogs or maybe Reservoir Cats. My dummy head. I'm fucking deformed. I don't know where she took that ear, but fucking hell, it could be anywhere. Could be under the bed. Could be anywhere. I bought another silicone ear, but I've not been very motivated lately because of my health. I feel like I want to go fish and chips today, but maybe I'll play it by ear. If I don't feel like I'm up to it, then I'm not going to bother. A few hours ago, I thought I was going to die. What was that? 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, about 4 hours ago, I thought I was going to die. I thought this is it. Embrace it. But I'll be food for my cats for maybe a few weeks until I go very stale, and they'll be put off, and then they'll have no water to drink, and my cats will die, and it'll be months until I'm discovered. That's how it'll be. That's how it'll end, and it'll be the same for you out there watching this video right now. Unless you got family around, you most likely will die in your home on your own. I know, sounds very grim, but very unacceptable, I would say. I just have to keep thinking positive, that's all. I am immortal. I am immortal, and I'm just feeling the pain of other things going on in the world. I don't know. I think that's pretty stupid. Yeah, so I'm not being motivated much lately. That's why I did only a few hours the other day in wiring up a few things, and I didn't even go in the room yesterday to do anything apart from I can't remember what it was. What did I do yesterday? Oh yeah, was it the? Oh yeah, Storm. No, was it Trinov? Yeah, they were. What was it called? Reflashing. Sounds like a flasher. Reflashing the processor to try and figure out why the main volume dial's not working. And that didn't even fix it. So whatever it is, it's either when thinking in terms of electronics, it's either a loose wire or the variable resistor or I can never say the word potentium meter or such. It's a variable resistor sort of they're typically used on analog or digital meters, volume digital meters, you know, unless of course it's a touch screen, which would be a total different thing from a variable because it'd be a touch screen, and I think that works on. Not exactly sure how it works, but I'll take a guess. Probably resistance because you know, but yeah, totally different sort of thing. So I'm just thinking, I need to pull it out the rack a little bit. I think the screws will be some of them will be located behind the rack here, so I've got to take the rack ears off, and then there's about 3 screws, I think, on the top panel, and I'm not identified them, but I looked at the back view of the processor, and I could see it's got temper screws on it. So I got a temper screw set, so I could use like put it in and then open it up. I know where the volume dial thing is and such because Trinov showed me exactly where it is, and I could see the ribbon cable that's connected. I could see the positive or the red wire, and then one of all the other wires. I don't know what they are. They're probably other signal things, but um, there's also 2 bits on the volume potentiometer. So I'd probably go in there and see if I can unplug something and then plug it back in again and see if it and then turn the unit on, see if that does anything. Because I had a similar problem like that with a second hand, the first consumer world Technics THX um, TH 100. Was it no the was it the SH or TH 100? Yeah, Tom Holman also said he had a design part in that when I was talking to him with email. Yeah, and all I did, I got a video that's about 20 minutes long, but the actual whole thing was about an hour. But I just was pausing and stopping and editing the video just by pausing and that and such. Just to keep it short. Took about an hour stripping it down, literally, and then undoing cables and such. And then I was thinking, and then I tested the volume dial on the voltmeter, and I was getting resistance because the digits on the voltmeter were going up and down. So I knew the potentiometer was a okay. It was a closed circuit, not open circuit. Closed, it's okay. Open, no, fail. Um, and then I put it all back together again, and just when it was all almost put together, I powered it up. No dials or anything were on, it was still stripped down on the front, and then I turned the and then suddenly, to miraculous miracle, I saw the digits on the dial going up and down, and I thought, huh. But if I had the remote control for it, which I didn't, because it had a remote control that would go with the unit, I would have guessed the volume dial would have gone up and down with the remote control. And I'm just thinking I've got a similar issue there with the Trinov, because what I'm seeing, it looks like the same similar thing. But Trinov say, or at least the guy in customer service, I think he might have been with the company maybe 4 or maybe 5 years. I don't know. And he said, I've never seen that before in 4 years. And so I assume he's only been with the company for a short time, but he's never encountered that. Hmm. So it could be maybe something to do with a capacitance and where it's plugged in. And if I unplug it, it might do something with maybe capacitance or such. And if I plug it back in, yeah, either way, it's going to be a dog's dinner. One, I just don't really like to undo all the DB25s. Um, because I wouldn't be able to pull that thing with all the cables that I've got going behind that bloody rack. It's a bird nest. And that means I've got to struggle getting behind it, undoing the screws to loosen the DB25s, pull it out of the rack, get it on a bench, open it up, and then get cracking. I've got no, I had no experience with the Technics. It was just guesswork. I only had basic electronic sort of thing during the 1980s with assembly, electronic assembly, and some doing modifications on circuit boards and using test equipment and so forth, frequency counters and test equipment on the test bench. Um, so if I do something and I touch something in a way, I could probably corrupt a microprocessing circuit thing on the thing and fuck everything up. Static electricity. Maybe I should get myself a what's it? So you wear it round your wrist. But I could have easily done damage to the HDMI board when I put it in the Denon. You just got to handle that thing very carefully. That you don't put your hands in certain areas, and then it might cause a static electricity sort of effect. That was a pig ears. That was putting that bloody thing in. That was so blooming awkward. And that happened because my cat, Magic. Was it Magic or was it Bear? I can't remember. I can't remember. It's one of my two. It's either Magic or Bear. They were just getting in the way of everything, and then they pull out, and then bloody HDMI lead gets pulled out on the TV, and it goes, and then the voltage goes right back through to the HDMI output number one, which is used for the OLED. HDMI 2 is used for the projector. And then I was getting no signal. I was thinking, what's going on? I was thinking, oh, fuck. It could only be contributed down to one thing, a resistor. Probably got overloaded and short circuited. Possibly. That would have been my first thing to check, but I looked at the damn thing and think, fucking hell. God, I wouldn't be able to get the probes on that so easily to test. I would need it like like a needle just to get. And usually, sometimes it's very awkward to test because you still the whole thing still might be in circuit, and I've got to test that. You got to take the component off and test it so it's not connected to the circuit board. Dog's dinner. So I had to get another HDMI board. But if I could have located it, it would have cost me probably not even £1 for the bloody for the an assaulted resistors. You got to get in there and ID the, the numbers, so then you get the correct components on eBay. Yeah, eBay. You'd be surprised. Cheap as mud. Oh, that's my cat, Bear. It's out there in the hallway. He sat on something and I could hear him. He sat on a surface and I hear it vibrating. But I can't feel it. That's how sound works, psychoacoustics. I go out there and put my hand on what he sat on, and then I'd feel the vibration. Yeah. I don't wanna bother with that. I don't wanna bother with that. You know what I've noticed lately so far? I've noticed less of these other home theatre people are doing less videos now of binaural sound recording. I think it was a little phase that we go through, and suddenly they need to, Otherwise, sometimes if I do a live video, it only goes into two microphones on there, but it comes out as mono. And then sometimes I can hear the way the algorithm is working on this bloody site and the background sound and the whatever's, and I can hear it suddenly go. It sounds like the level of the sound is down here, and it's going like making that horrible sound. And sometimes if I do something else, and then it sounds like it's up there. It sounds a little bit clearer, but it's still got this kind of little sort of nonsense going on in the bloody site. Ridiculous. But if I do a video recording onto this laptop and then upload it, that's different because then it's a stereo. I think they'll probably eventually have standard stereo on this site because they updated the 720p to 1080. So now you could do a video up to 1080 on YouTube standard. You can't do 4K yet unless you do a video and then upload it, or if you're streaming from another site and then it goes into this site, I think, and then it. But who cares? Who cares? I see some, just because it's 4K doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. You know, it could be 1080 or 720, and it's just got a different video algorithm or better camera lens on it. And I see an image that's doesn't usually tip that, and I see an image that doesn't have these common artifacts that sometimes I notice. Um, yeah, I have to do a video with my other cameras. I've got the DSLR versus the Sony, but I can't be asked. I see other cameras and I think, oh wow, I'm familiar with what I've seen in experience with seeing other things. And when it's a brick wall or such, they're all made of bricks and they've got all this very strange pattern. And then sometimes what I see in videos, I see this flickering effect. And it doesn't matter what resolution you set that video at. You could set it at 240p and you'll still see that bloody flickering thing because it's what's going on in the circuitry on that camera that's recorded it. But your eye won't see it. Doesn't happen. If you used a 35mm camera, 35mm film camera, it wouldn't see that issue. So you got to find maybe it's adjusting all the parameters on the camera so these artifacts won't be there because our eye adjusts very neatly. But cameras are, they're just it. It's like Dolby Atmos. It's not perfect. Never will be. Yet. Never will be yet. Presently yet. Unless they throw it in the cat litter and start over again. They got to put everything in it, and then they're going to think, well, how the heck do we do the other bit? You can make the seat a speaker. That's as far as you can take it. You'll never get a sound coming up this close to you and whispering in your ear in the cinema auditorium. That's not going to happen. So when you hear these whispery effects coming from any one of those pan-through speakers on the walls, most of the audience is going to hear it. That's not how whisper immersiveness happens. Please dispense me with the bullshit Dolby Labs and mixers, please. There's a lot of things, in these movies because you want to be thrilled. But it's sad, really. You're still going to be looking at a front focal image because if you want to do it like images coming from below, so it's like a projection screen below the seating and all. It's not impossible, but extremely complicated to build, and it's all everywhere, side walls and back wall, so it's everywhere. But it wouldn't look right because you've seen these DX, whatever they call them, cinemas, where it looks like it's going through a video splitter, and it's an ordinary film, whatever, and they're just putting it through a video splitter and then having it projected on the side walls and the front. It's not special, it's just a gimmick, but it looks very weird and doesn't look right. It's very weird. In fact, it looks worse. I think probably the Cinerama would have been a little bit better, but it's like a poor version of Cinerama. And I think they only show these wokey, crappy Marvel movies or whatever crap, just so they can lure in the people because they know it's not going to be very successful. And they try something to lure them in. Otherwise, you could do that in the home. Just get something that divide the video signal into three. Or kind of do it like a Cinerama. But why use three projectors? My goodness. Might as well just use a single with a wide lens. And then get a nice kind of deep curve. Not too well. Get a curved screen. Sometimes too deep, but it just wouldn't look right. And then you'll probably have David Lean coming out from the grave, yelling and screaming if you project Lawrence of Arabia. Get that fucking thing off the screen. I think that's how he spoke. Kind of soft sort of posh like English. Oh. Mm. But when we hear stereo with voices and in a restaurant, blimey, that is complicatedly um, overlapping sounds. My goodness. In stereo, well, no, I would say something a little bit more than stereo. It's like listening to the CB radio and hearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and maybe a few more on one single channel. It's just an overlapping of modulation in mono on the speak, because that's all CB radio would do. It won't do stereo. Be interesting if they did stereo. I think that would really be interesting. Or you could do multitasking on a radio, listen to one channel and listen to another, and both at the same time. That'd be kind of like stereo if you have if it can really if you can design it so it can go. If you can design it that way, and then you've got two speakers. Otherwise, it'd be probably a single speaker. You can mix it so it overlaps, blends. Yeah. Mhm. I wanted to do like stereo sort of thing one time, like an experiment on the CB radio, but using two CB radios, playing music, one on the left channel, one on the right channel, um, with the microphones, so I'm transmitting at the same time. But but I got to be on different channels on the CB radio, so I've got to be on maybe channel 20 and maybe on channel 27 or something. But problem there being is the other people on the other end have got to have two CB radios to hear it in stereo, so they switch to one channel, and then you hear stereo. Otherwise, you got to buy yourself a special other transmitter, whatever, and doing it on the, and I think it might be a little bit offset sort of thing there with frequency or such. Not sure exactly how it works, but I'll catch up. I catch on. I catch on. But that was back. That was early 1980s, and I just wanted to have a play around. Um, nothing new. Nothing new about it. Uh, uh, it can be very boring sometimes, ASR. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I posted something. I think this guy is going to go a little hush. I think he's going to go a little bit hush because I think I posted something, and I think now that guy I know, he's been rumbled. um, I could have posted his name, but so what? If he goes on other public things like on YouTube and everywhere else, and then he goes on then forum sites hiding under a username. Was he ashamed of himself or something? Must be ashamed. Well, I wouldn't be surprised some of the lousy mixes, that movie Fury with the tank doesn't sound or feel like I'm inside a tank. Sorry, that load of rubbish. I could care less how much LFE bass it's got on it. Sounds like a load of rubbish. Doesn't sound like it'll feel like inside a tank. Doesn't have the proper motion or anything, and the everything else that goes with it. That guy's probably not even been in a tank because he just gets the movie and it goes to LA and Hollywood. And those tanks came from a vintage tank museum, Bovington, which is Bovington is up that way, about 30 miles away. I've been there once and I've sat in a tank, not mobile, but I've sat inside one of the tanks that they have outside. You can open up the what's it and get inside and think, oh yeah, but it looks pretty rubbish. Um, and I think they filmed, and then I think they did the filming. So not over that way, but I think probably somewhere over this way, somewhere not too far away from Dorset. So when you watch it in the movie, you watch the end credits and all that, and you'll see credits like at the tank museum and such, because there's not many of those theatre war machine things around. There's only a few. uh, a lot of people still don't get the idea on LCR. They really still don't get it. I like all this stuff, the cone filtering effect. Yeah, that's funny. That is funny. I didn't notice any of that cone filtering effect when I was listening to these three Italian. Actually, I think there was about four, maybe five. I think five Italians. Could be four. Anyway, does it matter? No. But when I was listening to their, the voices like this, like three of them, like they're all, talking and that. I didn't notice any of this comb filter combing my hair. I didn't notice any of that nonsense. But with speakers, um, hmm. Now, let me think on this a bit. Because it's in a mix and it's in a recording, usually you get these sounds that kind of go from center to right or center to left, half center signal. And if the half left center signal was eliminated, so what you hear in the center is totally 100% discrete. And then what you hear over to the right and the left would be 100% discrete. You wouldn't get this cone filter shit effect. It just wouldn't exist because it's to do with the frequency, yeah, between the center and the left, a center and the left, the center and the right. And I think if you were to get them so very precisely spot on, and I mean this is going way more further than using a Dirac EQ and shit. You got to do a lot of hard work, and it can be extremely exhausting and bloody boring. Um, and I think you probably start noticing this combing your hair effect, combing. It will probably minimize, or if you could probably put some other things in the signal to minimize. But I think it really should be done in the mix. There's a video on YouTube that talks about the combing effect, your hair combing. I've got to get a haircut soon. Dave Rat. I'm not trying to promote his channel or anything, or I think he did a video several months ago that really pissed me off, and I thought I'm not watching his videos anymore. Well, that was a few months ago, but like I say, we are flawed, and sometimes we say things and we do things and we piss people off. All of us have issues, okay? Every single person has got issues, including my cats have got issues. So you can, whatever it is, everyone has got issues. Even bees, wasps, they got issues. If you piss them off, they're going to have an issue with you. Believe me, you don't want to get multiple stings, especially if it's around the neck, because you will suffocate. You probably wouldn't make it to hospital in time. You'll suffocate. Your neck will swell up and you wouldn't be able to breathe. Let's just let that thought sink in. All right. So we all got issues. I'll probably go and watch one of his newest videos maybe later. But he did one that was interesting. And yeah, it actually worked in the video. But if the technique was used like that for mixing, oh wow, we wouldn't be hearing this bloody comb filtering effect, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like, well, if I take an object, I'll keep it right at the back there, move it along. I hear it going a little bit louder there at that point because it was coming in access right on the on my ear there, and I heard the pitch. So it sounds similar. Oh, my cat Melanie's interested. Or I can do, there's a little bit of plastic, the way the plastic there is there. Here it go a little bit up there in frequency, and then gets a bit change in the frequency. It kind of because of the reflection and such. And so if I'm a bit further there, well, that was a good effect. You know what? I don't know. It's this comb filter shit, but it's just it's just a single solo object that I'm just making a sound with. You can't hear it in the video. You just hear these pitch shifts. You can't hear it stereo, but you just get any general thing and just start making sound. You think, why am I not hearing that in Atmos? Oh, look, I'll do some overhead object sound here now. Wow, that was brilliant. Especially when it goes in the middle. Yeah. I don't hear this phantom like shit, artificial phantom shit noise sound that I hear on these shitty Atmos speakers. I got proper decoders, so I get pinpoint sound going across the ceiling. But those are hot spots. It's still jumping. I could do it like a five screen effect, but on the ceiling. Just means putting extra matrix decoders connected, and then I'll get the sound depending on how well it's been mixed. If it's been mixed poorly, it's going to sound crap. If it's been mixed with the highest caliber of mixing that you can imagine, then sound would just go from one bit speaker and then to isn't that what it's all about in Dolby Labs, huh? I mean, you're the guys that wanted to put the bloody center channel thing there with your Dolby stereo decoders back in the early 1970s, and then the bloody mid, and then in the middle, kind of upper middle, Star Wars. Then you take a fucking axe to bloody left center, right center, do away with directionality sort of thing, and put Baby Boom there. It's the same single mono signal on two channels. What a waste. It would have been easier just to use one single mono, one part of the magnetic track for the LFE. And then you could have had the stereo surrounds a little bit more full range frequency response, because the mono surround was full frequency response. Probably the mono surround probably sounded better than but and then they get to digital, and then you don't have that narrow frequency range anymore. You get full range, 20 down to 5 hertz, not 18 hertz down to not even 60 hertz. Because the way the crossover thing in the CP200 and the way it's mixed encoded, it's not like a crossover. It crosses over. It's like that. It's offset slightly, so it eliminates the eliminates the crosstalk. You wouldn't be able to notice it. But if you listen carefully, some of these rare mixes, like Terminator 2 theatrical mix, you can hear where the baby boom track is a little bit on those stereo surrounds. And it's most likely not a CDS. It's probably from the 70mm. So generally it's the theatrical mix. So yeah, but it's, get over it, everyone. It's not a CDS. Because it's most likely the CDS might have been mixed totally different and discreetly. Because what I'm hearing on it sounds like a 70mm. You can hear it on Superman the movie theatrical on the USA blue 4K disc, particularly on the opening, because you hear just that boom track a little bit, very faintly on the surrounds. You turn all the other channels off, you can just faintly hear it. But they got the surrounds mixed. They sound like full range, so I don't know what they've done there. So there might have been some additional manipulation in the mixing. Because if you monitor the whole frequency response, if it was from the theatrical, it should really only go up to about 18,000 kilohertz or so, maybe. That was the limit for it. And then, True Lies on Laserdisc. Reportedly, that's got a high frequency extension up to about 22 kilohertz. You don't need any special equipment. But I doubt you can see it, but you're not going to hear it. You're looking at it on an RTA analyzer, you'd be able to see it, but you can't hear it. Because if you filter off all the other frequency with a crossover frequency DSP filter, it's just going to be, if your ears could hear it, it's just going to be something like that. It's like, bloody hell, I can't make heads or tails of that. Come a little bit lower down in the and then you can audibly hear sounds, and yeah, that makes sense. Because it's like, it'd be like someone mumbling, and you think, what? I don't understand what you're saying. Maybe my cat will be able to identify it, but then my cats are not going to tell me. What is she up to? Hey, what are you up to, girl? Hey, I got you off the addiction of drinking Pepsi Cola. Come on. Bloody rehab costs an arm and a leg. Oh, I don't need to get you rehab again because you're going to be into the peaches. Happy cat. Tail upright. Happy cat. Don't say a fucking word. Go, Mel. Thank you for knocking it over. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's fortunate you didn't break it out. I'm throwing it away. What she do there, Bear? What are you doing? I'm gonna have a meal. So if I'm gonna have a meal now with my medication, it's very unlikely. I'll probably want to do well. I could do it in the late in the afternoon, but I was thinking every time when taking a piss, you hear reflection. You hear reflection everywhere else because it's going into the bowl. It makes that sound when you're pissing. Unless, of course, I happen to be standing on my back, laying on my back, arcing my dick upwards, and in which case the piss is going to go up and it's going to come down on my face and make that sound, and you can be getting covered in urine. That's just the way I think, you got to be with reality. But generally, when you hear all these movies, mixers trying to mix someone pit all these Hollywood top actors like Tom Cruise taking a piss or something, it doesn't sound like he's taking it. It sounds like he's pissing in his mouth. Because when you hear them talking, you hear them talking up here and then taking a piss, it's coming up here in the HF sound on the HF horn. It doesn't sound like it's going down there, sort of thing. When they're walking around, it sounds like they got their foot stuck in their mouth. The Foley, I'll tell you, yeah, the Foley. All these Foley artists, oh my goodness, they are just terrible sounding. Atrocious. They got all this multi-micing shit today, multi-recording, and it sounds crap. Because you'd hear all the subtle details moving very subtly. They need more speakers behind the script. Because if you're going to have shitload of microphones, but not a shitload of speakers going behind the screen, doesn't make sense to me. Compromising the sound, oh my goodness. And it's got to all be captured so it could play back individually, so you would eliminate these comb filter effects. The comb, when the comb filter effect like that you get on the screen speakers because we're facing forward, you do that. You play pink noise on the left channel and the center, right? And you stand between them and just do that, and you can hear it going, and you only have to be a tiny little bit this way. And you think you're hearing, but you're not. You're getting a bit of a mishmash. You can mess around with the time delay on one speaker, and then you can hear it kind of shifting. You'd be able to see it with two microphones placed very close to the speaker. You can do several things with the microphone, with the audio mix. You could generally the rule is you set the pan pot one side to the right and then the other pan pot to the left. Or you can bring them together in the center position, and you can monitor on the RTA. You could do a few things to see what you're seeing, Use the dummy head as well. Yeah, dummy head works just as better than the microphone because of the way the ear thing is shaped and so. And then it's just like a measurement tool. You just turn the head this way, that way, and you can see the frequency response on dual RTAs, one going down and then the other one going up a little bit higher, and then you put it centralized sort of thing, and then the frequency response looks equal. And then you can move the dummy head like that, or you can turn it and you see the response channel, or you turn it all the way round and then you see the frequency response on the HF going from like that and it drops down. And then you see the frequency response on the speakers for the going around the rest of the room for well, let me think about it. Surround speakers? Front speakers? Because if they're all identical, then everything should, once it's all tonally matched and everything, and a little bit of balance in that, such in the room. The only thing that's going to be different is the sound mix, but the pink noise would be all the same, wouldn't change, shouldn't really. But the soundtrack mix is, yeah, it says it's like this is forward and this is surround and all that, but I don't think I'm going to call it something else. Maybe I'll just call it something else because it is something else. It is something else. Maybe if I had multiple dummy heads. Yeah. But how does it figure out? Because it doesn't have a brain, dummy head. It's just microphones going into a computer. And can that computer really tell and distinguish the sound is below? I don't think so. Our mind maps it very quick, very easily, and not even a Trinov could even do that. You need something down there in floor speakers, and it's got to be mixed specifically to create illusion and very neatly done with psychoacoustics. Otherwise, someone like a trained listening ear, mind, and that is going to notice the technical flaw. So it's got to be done so it can pass on many people, and they'll think, well, how the fuck did they do that? That'd be simple. Be simple. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I was thinking I've got to do a few things. I've got to figure out that buzzing noise I'm getting on the middle. Oh, there's my milk time. Meal time. I don't call it breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I just call it a meal. Because in the expanding universe, daytime, afternoon, whatever, is totally irrelevant. See, even that jug has got sub bass to it. I'll explain. Even that's got a little bit of sub bass to it now, but this has got more sub bass. Oh, that's taken the weight off of me, because you always hear these people babbling on bloody YouTube about their own bloody fear with their ego. Oh, I got a ton of bass. Bass? What, moon bass? You mean bass? Right. We always say it. We always say bass. That's with an E on the end, for crying out. Not bloody hell. Read what that fucking amplifier says. It says bass, not bass. But yeah, I had a bit of substantial weight in it. Can you get that in a movie mix? No. Oh dear. When I say I can feel a ton of bass. You have any idea what a fucking 1 ton feels like? What stupid absurdity am I fucking now? Oh dear. Poor people. There you go. Feel a ton of bass. You only need a tiny little water drop going down your ear canal, resting on your eardrum, and it will feel extremely uncomfortable. Ton of bass. Oh, Russell Crowe's in the house. Hey, Russell, motherfucker. Are you entertaining? Where's Steven Seagal, the motherfucker? Uh, I'm hearing a very low frequency, omnidirectional. It's because the plane's taking off, and where it's turning, yawing, rolling, and turning. And we're hearing the air thrust coming back this way from the aft engine, impacting on the roof. and even the roof pitch is way above, and I'm hearing this sort of omnidirectional, and it's faded away now. You wouldn't hear that in an Atmos movie, I can guarantee you. You're not going to hear all those nuances. Just some sad Hollywood mixers that think they know. But no. Sometimes they're only picking out a sound library of sound effects, and really some of it doesn't work in these movies. They need to record, if they're in a film set or whatever, they need to actually record the sounds that are going on in there and do it very neatly, and then use those sounds. Maybe get the lazy fucking actors like fucking Tom Cruise and that to do his own fucking Foley. Since he's asking fucking how many millions? He's not even doing his own fucking Foley. I'm sick and tired of movies. Oh, wow. And Dolby Atmos make you feel like you just ate? No, can't do that. Can't do that. Can you imagine everybody that was tasting something like this in Dolby Atmos? Some would go, what the fuck? I'm out of this fucking theatre. All this bullshit where speakers got to be placed to create this hemispherical hemisphere sound. What a load of bullshit. This fucking kitchen is not a fucking hemisphere, you know. It is shaped the way it is. Oh. A lot of sounds that I'm sounding. First sound is in cavity or in body sound. And the second is coming out. And then the third is just the reflections all coming back. Actually, that's not true. It's the mind that's, and then the verbals, and then spoken part here that I'm feeling. Yeah, so it'd be probably more like 1 and then 2, maybe 4, yeah. Oh, I think it's a busy day with the airport. Another plane coming out, heading westly, and then turning, and then going up, ascending, and then probably turning, heading north, or maybe turning around and then heading it out easterly. It depends probably what they got on the runway. I think it's a little bit late for Atmos. It's a little bit late for. Well, look, I see Russell Crowe outside. Hey, Russell, motherfucker! You got? Oh, I see it. I see his twin clone. Hey, Russells, you motherfuckers! See him outside there, Russell Crowe's. Hey, you ain't got a telephone under that wing of you, huh? You watch it. Don't you start throwing that telephone around. Well, I'll get my telephone and fucking throw it at you, you motherfucker. Telephone. All right, I'm out of here. Go and embrace the horror of Atmos and stereo listening and all that. Educate your mind, educate your ears. Because if you haven't done that already, by the time you get to my age, you probably wouldn't hear it. You've got to educate your hearing. It takes quite a bit of time.